Hello everyone, today we have the pleasure of trying out FIFA 15 here at EA Guildford, and with me today is Sebastian Enrique, who is going to be answering some of our questions. Thanks for taking the time, Sebastian.
Thank you for coming. So for us, it's really important that people have a go to the game. So we're around 50 to 60% development, but it's really important to hear the feedback that you guys have about what we're building.
Well, thanks for taking the time. The first question we have was, within the first couple of minutes, we could see that the graphics had a bit of an upgrade compared to last year's Gen 4 release on FIFA 14. There seems to be an extra layer of gloss sheen, and the graphics just seem to look more almost photorealistic in a sense, especially with the lighting effects. How long did you spend trying to achieve this, and what are the key components of it?
The main component, or the component number one, is a technology called physically based rendering. Do you want me to explain it a bit what it is? So usually when it's a model, or how to model basically how it works, how the world is illuminated in real life, like a physically based. And so imagine that we have a light source that at this point is a sky that is over there. So I'm being illuminated by the sky, and that's the color that I used, and that's in general like a simple illumination model. That is what games used to have, what we used to have. So what we're doing this year is actually modeling. I'm not just illuminated by the sky, but I'm also illuminated by the wall here. That is because the sky illuminates the wall, the rays bounce on the wall, and then they hit my face. So if you put something that is red over here, so the light will also bounce on this thing that is red, and because this is red, it reflects like a red ray, and basically my face will be reddish.
Yeah.
So that's how we model how lighting works in the real world in a physically based, and that's what we're doing in the game. So the day we turn on that switch, so it's someday we're working like for 2 years more or less. It was amazing, the difference. Like it was night and day. And then you start, so you add the pitch footmarks and the deterioration. That is not just random noise. We're actually like taking into account where the step was, what was the strength, what was the slide. So if the pitch is dry, if the pitch is wet, you start seeing like a new fog, atmospheric fog that appears on those like a rainy, like a cold night days. And you start seeing not just that, but the physics of adding the goal posts on the physics system. So you hit the goal post and you see them rambling.
Yeah.
So you have the corner flags in the physics. You have the frame of the goals on the physics system. Then you have the dynamic hair. Then you add like all the new work that we did on the player geometry and the animation rig to make it more athletic looking, like more realistic. So it's a lot of different components, new facial expressions that are not in this build that you guys are playing, but it's coming as well. A lot of things that you combine, and this new lighting system with the pitch iteration, I think they make a huge difference. So it's been many years where from a gameplay camera you could hardly tell what was a graphics difference between one FIFA and the other.
Yeah.
I think this year it's outstanding. So, and I think most reactions of the people the first time they try it is like, wow, the pitch looks amazing, and it's awesome. It's awesome that huge leap. So we're very happy with it.
Yeah, and this brings us to the second question. Actually, since you mentioned the physics-based aspects of everything on the pitch, and when we saw the goalpost rattling and we saw that you can kick the corner flag, that was something that we thought, oh, that's fantastic, because it really gives you a sense that you're actually in a living, breathing world and everything is interactable. How difficult was it to bring that mechanic in? Obviously, you have the physics-based engine was already in there, and it's been there for a while for player interaction. But how difficult was it to bring in the other elements in the pitch, like the static base, like the goalposts and the corner flags?
So, it's not as complex as creating a completely new AI system. Is adding more objects into the physics world and giving those objects properties. So it's work. So it's not super difficult, but it's not easy either. It's just work that you need to spend there, and basically we can work on those details because we have a system like our physics system that really supports those kind of things. And as you mentioned, it really makes the game much more immersive, much more alive. And for me, Gen 4, so in Gen 3 was a lot about gameplay, and gameplay was king. It was the right decision. Yeah. So if we had 100 units of something, 80 was on gameplay, 20 distributed on everything else, because that's what people play and what we could do. But I think Gen 4 opened the possibilities for much more. So if we have, instead of having 100 units, now we have 1,000 units, probably 500 go to gameplay and 500 go to everything else. And that everything else is like, my God, like I can now do all this visual stuff that I wanted to do and I couldn't. Now I can really do all this emotional stuff or presentation stuff that we dream about and we couldn't do it. And so that's what we're very excited about, and that's what we're doing this time.
It all looks really great in the build that we've played today. The other question we had was with regards to how player states and moods can be influenced depending on performance of the team, and how, you know, if a player is performing well or if he's not performing well, you can see reactions from his teammates and things like that. We had a question: can that affect the player's performance? So we were playing a game with Juventus, and Tevez missed a few chances. If Tevez continues to not score, will it affect his performance in the game? And also, because we see obviously his head drops and he looks upset, like there's visual indicator that he's not happy with himself. Can it affect his performance, and can it influence the performance of his teammates?
So we didn't want to get into that terrain for now. So we're doing it at this point to support the emotional aspect of the game, to have like a lot of variety, to be more immersed into the situations. But in terms of how is it going to affect attributes, is it going to affect how players feel, how players behave, but in terms of the gameplay itself, it's going to be worse at shooting if he's going to get tired more often for whatever situation it is. We didn't want to get there. It might feel unfair, so if you create something that you feel that is out of your control or that is not properly contextual, you will throw the controller through a window and say, this game is cheating me. So that's why we don't want to be there. That's why probably handballs, you know, that there were many years where handball was an option that you could have the referees calling in the game. But why is not an option by default? There is no way you can control your hands in the game. Yeah. So if you're giving a handball and you're giving a penalty against in the 90th minute of the most important online game of your life, what are you gonna do? Is the game cheating on you? Yeah. So the situations where we don't believe that we can provide yet maybe something that is fair and that it wouldn't feel like cheating, we won't do it.
And from what we've played so far, we've seen a lot of nice touches and animations. Yeah. Could you give us a rough number, how many new animations we can expect?
I don't know, because we're still working on it. So it's adding and adding stuff. So for the reactions, I think we have around 600 different animations. And we're still 60% in terms of the entire game. But it's tons of animations for passing, shooting, new turns, new running cycles is how we call it. So, you know, the locomotion stuff. Then we talked about the reactions, the 2-player interactions, the new 10-player celebrations, new crosses types, tons of different things that you know, it's really beautiful and really wow moments when you're playing your 100th game, 200th game, and you start seeing, you continue seeing things. Wow, I never seen that before, and that's completely new, and that's awesome. So we don't just make a game for a one-off and then you don't touch it anymore. We create an experience that you can play for ages.
No, and it's looking great so far. The last question we had was with regards to there's a couple of things mentioned with regards to shirt pulling and the hair movement. So, for example, if my shirt's being pulled, is that tied into the physics-based engines that are running in the background? So, if let's say Messi is having his shirt pulled by a much slower player, so obviously that will slow his pace. Is it to that level of depth?
It is added to the physics system, so yes. The point is, you don't have a specific action to do shirt pulling. So the action is a normal like push and pull mechanic that we have in the game that might result in a shirt pull, and the same way that you were exceeding, if you were exceeding in the push and pull mechanic in the past, you were getting like a call, a foul, and you might get a card. So this is the same situation. It's more contextual in terms of how they are fighting for possession, the physicality. But yeah, so it's shirt pull affects how a player is moving the same way that somebody that is being I'm doing a gesture, but but basically any physical movement in the game affects the movement or whoever is receiving the impact.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today, Sebastian. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you guys for coming, and I'm really glad you like the game.